Thank you, Lexi.
Good morning, Ms. Howell.
Commissioners, I've got 10 a.m. and we'll start the recording whenever you are ready.
And by Mr. Lip. Okay, 10. Okay, PIO Lip, go ahead and start the recording.
Recording in progress.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. This is our 10 a.m. regular Board of Commissioners meeting virtual. Let's have a call to order. Commissioner Chuck, are you with us?
I'm present.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Chuck. I am as well. And we have established a quorum. All right, we have no recognitions and proclamations, and we move to the adoption of the consent calendar. We often say that these items are routine or have come to us before. Commissioner Chuck, do you have any items you wish to review, highlight, or pull from today's consent calendar?
I do not, and I would move that we approve the consent calendar as presented, unless you have something that you wish to address.
Thank you, Commissioner Chuck. Yes, I would make a motion that we adopt today's consent calendar with the exception of items 1, 2, 3, and 4 under execution of documents pending further review.
You don't wish to send the money to our chambers and historical society?
Well, if there is any payment or operational deadline that'll do harm to these with a short continuance, then yes, I have a number of items that I would like to work with staff on in regard to these contracts.
So, Commissioners, Council Yule, anything would be needed to be brought to the board. So it would need to come from the board if we want any direction of changing how we do these contracts. Of course, these entities are expecting these monies to come. They'd receive quarterly payments. So anything, if there is direction for staff to bring this back to the board to receive direction, I think this was raised as an agenda topic, maybe at the previous meeting, and Commissioner Miller declined to bring this as an agenda topic.
Okay. Commissioner Chuck, would you like further explanation from me then?
Why don't we get the consent calendar approved, at least with those items removed, so we can move forward with the agenda?
Well, I've made a motion to hold these agenda items, and unless again there are any harms that might come by pulling these items pending further review. I mean,
So I would need to amend my original motion, Commissioner Miller.
Okay.
Yeah.
Propose a motion then, yeah.
So I will amend my motion to approve the consent calendar as presented, with the removal of execution documents 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay. So we're going to approve the consent calendar. We're going to hold these items.
You need to second it, and then we need to vote.
Hold on, just taking one more look here. Okay. Yes, I will second that motion, Commissioner Chuck. The motion passes to approve the consent calendar with the removal of items H, 1, 2, 3, and 4. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay. Commissioner Chuck.
I have a question. So are we going to have these put on the agenda for the next regular board meeting? What is the process going forward on this? Because I know that these entities are wanting to start their year out with these funds.
Yeah, I understand. If you want me to drill into things that I'm seeing in each of these agreements, I can do that.
No, we don't need to discuss it now. I just want to know when we're going to have it on the agenda so we can let these people know when they can possibly see these funds.
I think I need time to go over these with staff. I would like to also talk to each of these entities, and then yes, I would target our next regular commissioner meeting, or we could even have a special meeting if necessary.
So I am the staff contact for these agreements. So you're welcome to send any questions, and then I will put this on the consent calendar for August 5th.
Okay, very good. Yes, I do have questions, Council Yule. I won't go over those now. And thank you, everyone. So the consent calendar is complete for this agenda. Let's see, we have no public hearings, no decision and action, and discussion and information. We're going to start out with North Lincoln Sanitary Service Rate Review 2.74%. With us is Lexi Howell of North Lincoln Sanitary. Ms. Howell, are you with us today? Oh, there's
Morning.
French as well. Good, you're both here with us. See, you're both on the same microphone and camera. So welcome. Good to see you.
Thanks for having us. I'm Tina French, president of North Lincoln Sanitary, and this is our annual rate review report. I like to call it the State of the Trash Address, but it's just an opportunity for us to come before you and go over our previous year's financials, our budget looking forward, and then update you on all things solid waste. So I'm going to do the first half of the actual rate review, and then Lexi's going to chime in on updates legislatively and all things recycling and trash. So next, so Ken, do you want me to just tell you next slide? Is that the best way to operate this?
That would be fine, yeah.
Okay, next slide, please. Perfect. So I think all of you know who we are, but we are a family-owned business that we are celebrating 60 years this year. So we're excited about that. And Lexi and our son Jensen represent our third generation. So we feel very blessed about that. And I think that it's great for our communities and our employees to continue on with a family-owned business. We have 38 full-time employees and 5 part-time employees. And that covers all of our shop, our transfer stations, our hauling company, our office. Next slide, please, Ken. We service all of North Lincoln County, so from Tillamook County lines almost down to Newport City limits. Lincoln County represents 42% of our total customers and 15% of our commercial / multifamily customers. And we'll talk a little bit about multifamily further down the line here in our presentation. Next slide, please. So what we're talking about today is the 2026 budget versus the 25 actuals, the changes year over year. Our proposed CPI adjustment of 2.74% that will go into effect September 1st, 2026. And then the rate examples of what that increase will look like. Our customer options for service, and then current tonnages, recycling, and participation levels. Next slide, please. So this is our budget versus actuals. Revenue is increasing a little bit this year, and
well, this is our budget of 2025, what we budgeted versus the actual of 2025. So we were 3% higher.
Sorry, yes. So this is looking back, what we budgeted and brought before you last year versus where we actually ended up. So our revenue ended up 3% higher than what we budgeted. Our labor expenses ended up 5% higher than what we budgeted. And our operational expenses were actually 3% less than what we budgeted. And that has mostly to do with fuel, because we budgeted fuel. I'm sure you understand, is so volatile that when you pick a budget number, that's it. But most of that operational expense has to do with the fuel not being as high as it was when we set the budget. Next slide. So looking at changes year over year, in the first box under wages, the NLSS employee CPI increases, those are what we actually increase our wages by. And you can see that we're a little bit behind what the actual CPI increases are. CPI has been, again, very, very volatile. And so we got behind a little bit in 2023. So we did a larger increase in 2024. And then we have stuck with the 2% increases in 25 and 26. That still keeps our wages very competitive in our industry and in our region. So even though we are behind the actual CPI a little bit, we feel confident that we are still paying a very fair wage to our employees. Our disposal costs, you can see the increases over the last 3 years. And I hate to say that we expect those to go much higher in the next 5 years, and we'll discuss that a little bit. And then insurance costs is another large increase that we've seen. Although I want to say I feel very blessed to have insurance, because there's several companies in our industry that are having to self-insure mostly their transfer stations, not their hauling and liability, but their transfer stations, because of all of the losses due to lithium-ion batteries. Next slide. So this is our proposed CPI adjustment. It's 2.74. That number is 85% of the year-to-year change. I believe the year-to-year change was 3.1%. We take 85% of that and apply it to the rates, and that puts us at an 88% operating ratio in the county, which is our target. So we were happy to come in right on target with that adjustment.
And do you want to explain the operating ratio a little bit for those that may not know?
Yeah, I think we've talked about the operating ratio, but it is a little bit of a, so the operating ratio is expenses over revenue, and it is just a, there is a scale, and so the scale is 85 to 91. As long as we stay within that scale, we usually don't move rates. If we go outside of that scale is when we adjust the rates. And when we do adjust the rates, we try to adjust back to 88%. However, last year we adjusted back to 91% because it was a fairly large increase, and we knew we had some retirements coming and some efficiencies that we were picking up with equipment and routing. And so we budgeted at 91%. And as you may recall from the previous slides, we actually did come in a little bit better than 91%. So I'm glad that we didn't adjust for more than that. But generally, we try to go to 88, but there are times where I will adjust to 91. Next slide. So this is what the rate increase will look like for most of our Lincoln County residents. Most of our residential customers have a 32-gallon roll cart picked up once a week, a 96-gallon recycle roll cart picked up every other week, and a 96-gallon mixed compost roll cart picked up every other week. Currently, they're paying $40.54 for that, and it will go to $41.65. And then our commercial customers, the average commercial customer is a 1.5 yard dumpster picked up once a week, and then they get recycling with that as well. And some of them cardboard and glass pickup as well. You may recall we do not do commercial compost because of the cost of that. And so that rate will go from right about $150 to $154. So just about a $4 increase for that. And we were talking about it the other night that to have somebody come to your house 3 trucks every week and take your garbage all the way to Coffin Butte, your recycling all the way to Eugene, your your glass all the way to Portland and stuff. We feel really good about this rate. I know to give a little perspective, when I started in our company in 1989, our rates were $8.88 a month, but we had no recycling, no compost. It was much simpler times, but so sometimes when I see these numbers, I'm like, wow. But then I think about what we're doing every day, and it's like, okay, that's still a good deal, because I personally couldn't drive around to all the places that we drive and drop all that stuff off for $40 a month. So next slide. So I always want to talk about our options for service. So we offer 3 sizes of roll carts: 32-gallon, 65-gallon, 96-gallon. You can have any of those picked up weekly, every other week, once a month, or on call in the county. And all of those services come with every other week recycling and every other week mixed compost. And then the other option we offer is we will walk up to your house and get those vessels, empty them into the truck, and walk those vessels back up to your house for you.
Up to 75 feet.
Up to 75 feet. We'll go further than that for an additional charge, but the flat carry-out fee covers 75 feet. And we do that for the majority of our second homeowners, obviously. And then we also do it for people that just don't want to have to remember to put their garbage out. So we always like to remind people that those services are available. The other thing that we always want to talk about is DEQ does not allow solid waste providers to charge for recycling or mixed compost. So even though there is a rate set to those when we start those programs, that rate automatically goes on to the garbage can. So that the DEQ's thinking is that they do not want to disincentivize people from recycling or using compost. So they put the fee on the garbage can so that recycling and compost is free or no charge.
And we have seen quite a bit of success in our customers that do divert as much as they possibly can to their recycling and mixed compost. Typically they're able, especially like a single family household, can go from like a 32-gallon once a week to every other week service if they really truly are being diligent about recycling and composting. And I think that that's an important thing to remember, is you can lower your garbage rate the more you recycle and the more you compost, because it's all based on what you're doing with your garbage.
And with that, we can go to the next slide, and Lexi's going to take over and talk about all things recycling and legislation.
Yes. Well, hello, commissioners and Council Ewell. Thank you so much for having me. I'm Lexi Howell. In 2025, we did see a pretty big increase in recycling overall. So this includes the county, Lincoln City, and Depot Bay. It's pretty hard for us to get tonnage just for each of our service areas, since it all gets combined at the transfer station. So you get looped in with the rest of them. But we did see an 18% increase from 2024 to 2025. And really, I think most of this is due to the Recycling Modernization Act, which is really exciting. We've seen a lot of, I think, really great response from the public. And we just have seen an increase in tonnage and recycling. So I think that that's really exciting. In terms of garbage, we did see a 10% decrease. Some of this could be related to the diversion of recycling. However, recycling is usually not very heavy. And so in tons, I don't know that that's a perfect example of, an increase in recycling is a decrease in garbage. I would say more economically is where we're seeing that decrease in garbage tonnage. As everybody knows, the economy is a little bit flat right now, and garbage is usually a pretty good indicator of what the economy is doing because we are a tourism community, and the more people that are here and spending money and buying things, the more we see garbage go up, and the same thing for the reverse. So,
And building.
Yeah, and building. So mixed compost is down. It's about an 11% decrease. I think that some of this is because in 2024, we had a pretty big storm in January, and we accepted mixed compost, well, mostly yard debris, free of charge for those that were heavily affected. And that was something we did with all 3 haulers in the county. We talked with Paul Seitz at Lincoln County Solid Waste District, and that was just something that we all decided to do to help clean up. I think that really increased our numbers because most of the time you don't have a ton of down trees coming in. But overall, your guys' recycling participation level, this is actually for Lincoln County. For residential recycling, it's at 85%. For commercial recycling, it's at 97%. And I want to kind of make that number more clear. That is including glass and cardboard. If you just had mixed recycling, that number goes down to I'm not even going to say, it's really low. And so for commercial recycling, we see the best and least contamination with glass and cardboard. And we've made a huge effort to make sure that literally every single one of our commercial businesses has both glass and cardboard because it's easy for all of their employees to understand. It's a great diversion for them because they receive a lot of it, especially bars and restaurants with glass. And with the RMA now, Recycling Modernization Act, we are getting quite a bit of money for recycling. And so the more people that sign up, the more that helps our rates in the long run. So for mixed compost, we're still hovering at that 70%. I think it went up by 1% in 2025 over 2024. What I'll say about that is we've been recycling since the 1980s, 1985 or so. And we're still at 85% for that. And so with this program being only 5 years old for mixed compost, 72% is pretty good. I think our office does a very, very good job of anytime somebody signs up, just saying, hey, try it out. We're just going to deliver the carts. If it's not for you, call us back. But try, and it's important, and you can reduce your garbage bill. And they're really good about that. So I see that that number will continue to grow over time. That's my hope.
The other thing to note with that is about 100% of the non-participation is vacation rentals.
Yes.
And so their gardeners are hauling away the trimmings, and the property management companies don't want mixed compostables at those homes. And quite honestly, I understand the mixed compostables. We push back pretty hard on the property management companies about recycling, because with the new statewide recycling list where everybody in the state recycles the same thing now, there's really no reason why a vacation rental can't recycle commingled. I understand the compost situation a little more until it becomes normal for every family, just like recycling is now. But tourists know what they can and can't recycle. And as a guest, I think people expect to be able to recycle when they rent a home. So
100%.
We're pushing pretty hard on the property management companies to keep their recycling and to have their housekeeping staff monitor it, or work with us on a source separated system. But anyhow, I think that's why our participation levels are getting better with recycling.
Yeah. Next slide. So, okay, this is a fun one. This is kind of new for us. So commercial compost is, just to be transparent, it's about double the price of residential compost for us to dispose of. So we take all of our compost to Pacific Region Compost in Corvallis. It's right across from the landfill. And what they have found is that commercial compost is highly, highly contaminated, which means that it takes a ton of labor and equipment on their end to get that compost clean enough for them to be able to resell it. And so instead of starting a commercial compost program and burdening everybody with the cost of commercial compost, we have done some pilot programs to see how it would work, because in reality, it is going to come down. Most likely, it got shot down in the short session, but in the long session this year, we expect to see a commercial compost pilot program started for all of Oregon. It'll start for heavy food waste producers, so restaurants, and then it'll move to other commercial businesses as time goes on. But with that said, our pilot programs have gone fantastically, and we're really proud of all of these companies. So Pelican was the first one. They started composting spent greens. Then Salishan decided to join. They compost their food waste from their kitchen. The hospital, same thing. Then Taft 7th grade, I was able to connect with them this year. And we actually went on a landfill and a compost tour with 120 7th graders. And Amy Thompson at Thompson Sanitary was the one that inspired me, if you will. And I was able to see how she did it in 2024. And then this year was able to implement it. And honestly, this is a huge thanks to all the people that work at these companies and the school. They are really the whole reason that we're able to do this. I come in and I show them what to do, but they're the ones that have to implement it and keep it going. So huge thanks to them. The 7th graders, we did an audit. So we did the tour and I spoke at their classroom, and then we did an audit of their lunch from their food waste from their lunch and saw how much everything weighed. And then throughout the year, we did a few more educational classroom visits. And then they had their 7th grade green team that would compost and recycle everything from their lunch period. And then they also had a group going around and picking up recycling from each of the classrooms. So at the end of the year, we re-audited their lunch waste, and they had diverted like over 50% of their food waste and their recycling. So they were doing a great job. It seemed like they had fun. And we were really grateful for the partnership. So the newest one is the Horn. They're in Depot Bay, and they are also composting spent grains from the brewing process. So just kind of a fun little thing we're doing. Next slide, please. So here's the fun money slide. So in 2023, I think is the first time that you probably heard from me talking about the Recycling Modernization Act. And I am proud to say that we are officially 1 year into it. In July of 2025, we signed up and worked with Council Yule to get all the approval to receive the funding, and then worked really hard to get all of that funding. And I'm really proud of us because at North Lincoln Sanitary, we have actually received every single dollar allocated to us. And we're one of the only companies in the state that has been able to do that for the first program plan year. So with that said, we've received the glass incentive funding, which is around $79 per ton. The glass transportation funding, so that's anything over 50 miles that we are transporting the glass, we get reimbursed for that transportation. The mixed recycling transportation, same thing as glass, and then contamination reduction education funding. Coming soon, we are going to have a producer responsibility organization depot, and the producer responsibility organization, or PRO depot, is essentially an expansion of what we're already doing at the recycling center. So I'll talk a little bit more about that on the next slide. And same with service expansion. We'll talk about that a little bit more here, but oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the big story on this slide is you can see the income that we received was $146,812, and our recycling expenses in our operations was $125,000. So we actually had over $21,000 in excess that we could put towards like what Lexi did with the schools. We were able to cover some of the wages in our recycling center for our attendant. And so anyhow, and unexpected expenses, like we found out right around, gosh, was that April, that glass went from $0 a ton at Glass to Glass in Portland to $25 a ton. And so
things like that where, we're all excited about essentially funding all of glass recycling. All of a sudden that changes pretty unexpectedly. And now we have some excess funds to actually deal with that and not burden the ratepayers with a change like that. So this was a huge deal. I think it helped us immensely. I think we all were a little nervous about RMA and how it would work, but it's working great for us. So we're really grateful.
We're making hay while the sun shines.
Yes, we are. So one of the things on this line item, I'll just point out. So the contamination reduction reimbursement and education, that we were able to get a 2-year advance funding. So again, thanks to Council Yule, we were able to get approval to do that. We were the first one in the state. And what that allowed us to do was partner with a company called Prairie Robotics. And they are going to be putting cameras on the trucks. We actually have I think they actually got shipped yesterday. So we are going to put cameras on the trucks in the recycle trucks. So when your cart is dumped, that camera will catch the contamination that's dumping into the recycle truck. And that is going to do a couple things. Number one, it's a huge safety advantage for our drivers. Right now, they are literally lifting lids. They are cart tagging by hand. They are on their tablets typing in what the contamination was. And they're really good at it. However, trying to drive a how many pound truck, navigate, summer traffic, make sure that there's no contamination, make sure that you're getting, it's too much. And our industry is number 5 in terms of most dangerous in the United States. And they just don't need that on them. They don't need to be dealing with that. And so,
well, and then it continues into the office with the girls have to print the letters and mail the letters. And
it's a lot of admin time.
Yeah, it's a fairly expensive way to do it, although it's been very effective. We've done this since we started recycling, and we have some of the lowest contamination in the state, which I think Lexi's going to talk about in a little bit.
Yeah, but so the admin cost now will be so reduced on top of driver time, so his efficiency will go up, and then admin time. Our girl in the office that's taking care of it, she is only going to have to go through and just double check that the camera got things correct, and then a postcard will automatically be sent out. The photo will just show the item that was a contamination. So let's say it's styrofoam. Styrofoam is not allowed in the recycling. It would blur out everything in the photo except for the styrofoam. It would notify the customer of what is recyclable and what is not recyclable. And then it would also send a letter saying, hey, this is your first warning. After the 3rd warning, DEQ allows us to remove the roll cart. We feel like this is the best way to do it because a lot of people do want to recycle. And as you saw, we have an 85% recycling rate, at least for customers that have their recycle roll cart. And so it's not like it takes it away and they never get it back. We have a quiz that they can take. And 99% of the time, people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't know, or this got put in and I didn't realize it. And it's a great conversation. And it makes it really easy to move forward. So it's very rare that somebody loses their recycle cart and never gets it back. Okay, next slide. So this is your report card. This is one of the things that RMA was able to do for us. So now, once a quarter, we are providing about 200 pounds of a random amount of recycling off of the route truck. And so we make sure it's from Lincoln County, Lincoln City, or Depot Bay. And so we pull that. It gets put into a Gaylord. That Gaylord goes to Portland, and RMA teams sort it out into 120 categories, which is wild. So they're not even all listed on here. And so a couple keynotes. This is crazy to me. The biggest amount in that 80% category at the bottom, the blue, is paper packaging, no liquids. That's cardboard. So 80% of Lincoln County's recycling is cardboard, which is just wild to me. I think that I've sat through a lot of recycling presentations from DEQ over the years. And one of the things that they have pointed out is the switch from that 80% used to be newspaper. And that 80% now has switched over to cardboard. And as you can see, the printed paper is the second largest, only at 9%. So in comparison, like Depot Bay, they're at about 11%. So it's pretty fascinating how recycling has changed over the years. The other thing to note is the deposit containers up in the top there. That's at 2%. So I think that's a good thing. On the other hand, I wanted to point it out because I think it's important for people to know we don't want any deposit containers in the recycling, only from the standpoint of that's 10 cents per deposit item. So, soda pop can, water bottle, whatever it is, that can be put towards donations. I mean, they have the blue bag program, so you can go towards your nonprofit. They have the green bag program if you want to do it yourself, or you can put it in, single file. So just a note to remember, donate your cans, donate your stuff. We don't want it. It's great for the recycling stream in terms of it's a good recyclable, but use the bottle drop program. And then the other one I wanted to point out was there are no hazardous materials in this mix. So that is a huge win. There are no batteries. There are no household hazardous waste. So huge thanks to the Lincoln County Solid Waste Program, who has a household hazardous waste event once a year. I think that helps a lot. And then also the batteries we do take as a reminder at our recycling center free of charge. And I think that program has been going well. The only other thing I'll note before we move on is that plastics, there was some contamination. So as a reminder, we accept a lot of plastics now in comparison to what we did. So that's plastics number 1 and 2, bottles and jugs, tubs numbers 1 and 2, and some 5, but they really need to be like an actual round tub. And then we also accept the buckets, like a 5-gallon buckets, planter pots. So the stuff that we really don't accept that's plastic is the weird things, right? Like the film plastics, clamshells, things that don't fit into a bottle, jug, tub, or bucket category.
Like food trays, like if you get frozen meals and they're in plastic, those are still not recyclable.
Yeah. So that's most of our contamination is the odd plastic items. So just a reminder. Next slide. Okay, so rounding out our Recycling Modernization Act discussion. So again, just a little shout out to us and Lincoln County. We were the first in Oregon to receive that 2-year advance funding. I think that was a really big deal. We also have received every dollar allocated to us, and then we have submitted all of our data to the audit center, just like we discussed. What's next? The second program plan funding, we will need a reapproval for contamination reduction education. So Councilor Yule, I'll be chatting with you again. And then we are we're in a little bit of an unknown right now with glass incentive and transportation funding. The glass packagers are pushing back quite a bit. And so we are a little worried that may go away. Again, Tina said that we're going to make hay while the sun shines, and that is very true. We're going to get every dollar we can, but we don't know what the second program plan is going to look like for that. We are going to get that PR recycling depot. It is in the works. The additional items that we'll be able to take are the 6-pack hard lids that you see on like beer cans. I think some pop cans have them, but not very many. And then the lids that are on those tubs, so like a cottage cheese tub or a yogurt tub, if you can pop that lid off, those will be accepted at the recycling center. Do not put those in your mixed recycling. And then we will be able to also accept at our recycling center plastic film. We're doing that already, but now it'll be through the RMA, so we won't have to deal with the additional costs for that. And then we will also be able to take shredding, and that is going to be new. So right now we do accept items to be shredded. We will now be able to recycle that shredding as well. Somebody asked in one of our presentations how it would be best to bring the shredding. If you can bring it stapled in a paper bag, that's going to be our best case scenario, because if you bring it in a plastic bag and we have to dump that out into the cart, it's kind of a wind tunnel in our recycling center. And I just have a feeling we're going to have a lot of flying confetti. Yes. Can you remember? Oh, we'll be able to take the plastic buckets, like a totes. Yeah. Big totes. You can already put those in your mixed recycling, but a lot of people have said that they can't fit them in their mixed recycling 96-gallon cart. So we'll be able to take those at the depot. I think that is it, but more to come on that. I will let everybody know, and we'll make sure we get a lot of marketing out about the PRO depot. The other thing that is coming is service expansion. I'm not totally sure what we need to expand for services. I'm hoping that CAA can kind of help me with that, because we really have the creme de la creme of recycling programs, and I think all of Lincoln County does a very, very good job at that. Our haulers have been have made this a really important part of our business. So not sure, but more to come. And then we'll keep receiving those contamination numbers from our state audit. I hope that we see, less contamination and more recycling. And then we are also paying close attention to the lawsuit that is currently against DEQ. If anybody has any questions about that, you can reach out to me. We don't have a ton of information. They actually are in session.
Day 2
Yeah,
of the trial.
day 3, I think, actually.
Oh yeah, this is Wednesday, day 3 of the trial.
Yeah. So we're on it, but we don't have a ton of new information. So next slide. This is just another look. So extended producer responsibility, that is essentially what the Recycling Modernization Act is. Oregon has had extended producer responsibility programs since 1977. The bottle bill is actually an EPR program. Same with paint, electronics, and glass. So paint, we accepted our recycling center since I think like 2011. So you can drop that off for free. It is recycled in Portland and then brought back to Habitat for Humanity and sold. It is a really great product if you are looking to paint inside or outside. In reality, it's mostly mixed with high-end paints. And so what ends up happening is you get a really good paint product. So highly recommend checking that out. And then electronics, they expanded their list for acceptance. So pretty much anything that you can think of that has an electronic component, from a mouse to a computer to a monitor to a TV, a keyboard, etc. Bring it to us. It has to stay out of the landfill. It all gets recycled in Oregon. And the company that we take it to actually has a resale program. So if it's still good enough, they will resell it. And then lastly, glass. We have 3 glass depots, one at the Skinner Creek transfer station, one at the Shell Avenue down by the Depot Bay area port. And then we also have one at the recycling center. So recycle your glass for free. And then coming soon, we already accept batteries for free, but the EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility program for batteries, is going to be coming around 2029 is when it like fully implements, but we'll start seeing some changes next year in 2027. Like I said, plastic buckets, shredded paper, film plastic, we already take, but it'll be funded by RMA now. And then the polyethylene and polypropylene lids, which are the tub lids that I was talking about, and the 6-pack handles. Next slide. This is just a plug. If you want to stay updated on what's going on, we have an app. We actually just rehauled our app, and you won't notice a ton of difference on your end, but on our end, it's a much better company. They are working with Prairie Robotics. One of the cool new features that if you don't have the app already, you should download it. You can now take a picture and it'll tell you exactly what cart it goes in, or if it needs to go to the recycle depot or to the transfer station. So that's a really great update. And then it also still has the calendar. It'll notify you of your pickup days, and you can schedule junk removal, which is our bulky item removal route, on Wednesdays, or scrap metal pickup on Fridays. And as a reminder, we can take those things at the transfer station as well. And then on Instagram and Facebook, I try really hard to put out educational materials. I try really hard to notify customers of any changes, route updates. We're pretty good about, the only day we take off of routes is Christmas Day. And so unless it is like actual straight ice on the roads, or there's a fire like we had in Otis, we usually don't have service interruptions. But if you want to know when there is one, follow me on Instagram and Facebook, and I will update you.
Well, and this app will also allow us, like if the city is doing a sewer line on a street and we show up and can't get down the street, we can draw a geo map and actually reach out to all those customers with either an automated phone call, a text message, or an email to let them know, like, hey, we weren't able to get there today, but we'll be there tomorrow, or whatever day the street opens. So
yeah,
it's great for us to be able to contact customers as well.
Agreed. Okay, next slide. Oh, this is just a reminder of how many community events we do. And if anybody is interested, we did a really fun Follow the Waste tour in 2024. And we're going to try to do that every other year. So we had all of our city and county dignitaries invited. A couple of our mayors showed up, and it was really fun. We got to go to the recycling MRF, the landfill, and the compost facility. And it's just a good way to see what's going on the back end, because like Dina was saying, with our rates, there's a lot that goes into it that nobody really ever sees, of the amount of work that it takes to handle what's at the end of the life for most people. The other fun thing that I try to do, we're always a part of the National Night Out and the Touch a Truck events. We work really hard with our cities, with our schools, to be in. I think I have hit every single school at least twice a year usually. I'm usually not the exciting part. I usually have to bring a garbage truck to get their attention. So that's usually, as you can see in that bottom right photo, what makes kids most excited. We do our compost giveaway, our household hazardous waste event with the county. We do a lot of Solve and Surf Rider cleanup events. We we essentially take all of their waste free of charge as kind of a partnership to do those cleanups. We sponsor a lot of youth sports teams, and we also try to make sure that we're just out in the community. I'm a part of Kiwanis chamber, all of those good things. And then lastly, this is a little random, but just a reminder for those in the county, in that right photo with Thane, our mechanic, he's next to that roll cart. That is a bear roll cart. We provide those at an additional charge of
Bear proof roll cart.
Yeah, you can have a bear with it if you really want. It's bear proof. And we charge about $4 a month extra. They're really expensive roll carts, so they truly are bear proof. Like, you can lift them up, chuck them, put them upside down. There's a whole lock latching system inside. But give us a call. We have a few extras still left over from our original order. And we're happy to provide those. So
we had customers that were actually driving their solid waste and recycling into us every week, because every week they put it out at the street, and every week the bears would get into it. So this is able for them to have, they can stop doing that now and actually have service at their homes again.
Yeah. So I think next slide, I think we're done. Yeah.
That I have one last thing, and I wanted to thank Commissioner Chuck has been very involved in the Coffin Butte landfill saga, I guess I'll call it. And I appreciate that. I appreciate your testimony at the Willamette Valley Task Force. Is that what it's called? WIPA? WIPA?
No. WIPA was. Yeah.
Anyhow, I'm sure all of you know that Coffin Butte landfill is been denied. I'll skip the saga of getting there, but as of right now, their expansion has been denied. The latest we've heard is that they have about a 12-year capacity. What we're not sure of is if that includes current capacity or if that includes just solid waste coming from Republic service areas. So our contract with Coffin Butte landfill runs through 2029. And so we're fairly confident that we will continue our contract as is until then. However, we are and have been working very diligently to look at all the options for what we can do when that landfill closes. And so it seems like every day there's something new being floated out there. And that's one of the things that we have been saying all along, is that Lane County is fairly well taken care of, but Lynn County, Benton County, Marion County, they're going to have some place for their waste to go. And well, Lincoln County is very important to us. We are small potatoes compared to the volumes of those counties. And so we're paying very close attention to what those counties are talking about doing for, when it's time to find new space. But I feel confident it's going to be expensive and it's going to be an increase because obviously the further you drive something or train it or however it's going to get there, the more expensive it is. But I just wanted to let you guys know and thank Commissioner Chuck for being so involved in that and speaking up for Lincoln County when Lincoln County has been tried to be ignored in this conversation, but we will not be denied. So that's all I had. Thank you.
All right. Wow. That was a lot of information. Okay, just because we're on the slides here, can you go back? Just quick question on the bear cart. Is that the blue one in the right corner?
One more slide forward, Ken.
2 more slides forward.
One more there. Oh, so the right-hand side in the middle,
Okay.
that is the bear-proof roll cart. And so they have special latches that are easy for humans to open with 2 hands. But once it's latched, a bear can't get it open. Like I literally saw a bear. We were staying in the Rocky Mountains in a cabin, and I literally woke up in the middle of the night, and the bear was like carrying the roll cart down the road and like tossing it around. I was like, those are the roll carts we need to get. So we contacted our manufacturer that makes our roll carts, and they were able to get us these.
Yeah, well, it looks like it's probably pretty thick. Well, thanks you two. Commissioner Chuck, I'll let you take it away for a while. What would you like to discuss or ask questions?
I'd just like to, thank North Lincoln and acknowledge that all you do regarding the RMA. Our haulers are head and antlers above almost everybody else in the state. So that's a tribute to you, but it's also a tribute that we are small and we have to be adaptable. We have to maintain services. And so we figured things out. And I think the larger counties could take a good lesson for how we do these things. Now, that was part of my testimony is that they could learn a lot from us, how to set these things up and how to do things the right way and keep costs low and still provide a service. And Lexi, thanks for showing up, for giving me support there in Salem. Now you got a chance to see how the sausages get made and all the things that
yes,
all the little things that go on the side. And this issue is gonna take a solution. Everybody needs to work at it, and now I think that we're gonna have a better seat at the table. We made sure, and I'll thank the other commissioners from Tillamook and Yamhill and Marion and Lynn County from showing up. I think we gave Benton County put them on notice that they're not going to be dictating the way that the agenda goes, and it's going to benefit everybody. And I think one thing that didn't get mentioned was you're going through your dismantling, trying to go be a dismantlers, and that will provide a great service to how we deal with abandoned cars and RVs. So thank you again for stepping up. I won't take up all the time. I'll let Commissioner Miller have a few minutes, but I do have a couple things. But it's great working with you, and Lexi, you're a rock star. So thank you for what you do. And
thank you.
She is a rock star.
Yeah, she is. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Commissioner Chuck, and for providing that state advocacy too. I got to ask now, what about the dismantling? What's going on?
Oh yeah. So when the RV abandonment abatement program came online 2 years ago,
might have been 3 actually.
It could have been
Paul's
3.
been working on it for a long time.
The Lincoln County Solid Waste District, Paul, who is also a rock star.
Yeah.
You have a great employee there.
He, just a note about Paul, he gets talked about at every single one of our state association meetings. People are like, so how did you get him? What did you tell him? And we're like, no,
don't touch him.
Don't take him. Don't touch him. But he comes and speaks at like he doesn't like it, but he gets asked to speak at every single event that we have. And it is hilarious how many people are jealous of him. So
he is an amazing employee and an amazing asset for the county.
Yes.
But so fast forward into that, when we get dispatched to some of these cleanups, sometimes there's 50 cars buried in blackberries. And so when whoever the contractor is shows up with their excavators, we'll get calls and be like, can you guys take these cars? And we are not auto dismantlers, and there's very few of them in the state.
Very few.
And so Paul asked us, like, hey, would you guys consider doing that so that when we do these cleanups, we can actually get everything and clean it all up? And so actually our son, Jensen, or JJ, he has taken that on, and it's been quite a project, to be full disclosure. We have been told things by DMV and then retold them completely differently. And so we've had to go, back to DMV 3 and 4 times, depending on who you talk to, depends on the answer you get.
But I think we found someone.
It sounds like there is one guy in the state of Oregon that works for DMV that knows about auto dismantling
And we
and
got
what
a
it
meeting
takes.
with
And
him.
we have a meeting with him.
No, I think
We
JJ
did
had
have a meeting
yeah.
with him, but now we are doing all the paperwork and permitting necessary to do that. And
Yep.
so we should have that done by the end of the month, I
Yeah.
think. So we're excited about that. We do not want to compete with tow truck companies or true auto salvage yards. What we want to do is just to be an asset when cleanups happen.
Yep.
and that contractor needs junk cars hauled off. So we'll have to be working close with the sheriff's department, because sometimes there's not titles involved. And I mean, it's just it's a lot of bureaucratic tape to follow, but Jensen's done a great job setting up the program, working with both DMV and DEQ to make sure that we can store those things on our property. So we're excited about that, in a nutshell.
Yeah. That's kind of interesting, that you might be able to pull something like that off, right? But it sounds like there's a lot of regulation around it. But
Yeah.
the cost of that, if it could be something that you could support, or, I don't know, have a medium operation.
Basically, our company has always been, if it is solid waste involved, we want to be able to take care of it. We don't ever want to tell a customer like, oh, sorry, we don't do that. And, even though abandoned cars are technically not solid waste, customers need an outlet for that. And I don't even know, I could be wrong, but in North County, there's no auto wrecker yards anymore. So there's no place for even somebody, if they have the ability to tow it themselves, to take a vehicle. So we just always want to be the answer for a customer being able to do the right thing with their solid waste, whether it be hazardous waste, now automobiles, RVs, motorhomes, mattresses, whatever it is, we want to be the answer for them. And so this was just adding another layer to what we already do.
Yeah, I love that you guys are exploring that, due to the cost. On our consent calendar, there was our forest enforcement, officer as well. Well, I've got a few questions. Kudos on the contamination reduction. We've got quite a few participants today on this meeting. Could you just talk about what contamination is in practical terms for everyone?
Yeah. I think it was funny. I was at a presentation with a group, and a lady came up to me after, and she goes, "You keep saying contamination. I have no idea what that is." And I was like, "Oh, that is a great point." And so we use a lot of lingo in our business. And so contamination is truly just garbage in the recycling. Easy as that. So I think that something to remember is that just because it's contamination in the mixed recycling doesn't actually mean that it's garbage in it of itself. So a great example of that is plastic film. Plastic film is a horrible contamination in the mixed recycling, because when it goes across all of the conveyor belts at the material recovery facility that we take the recycling to, so that it can be sorted into the end market buckets to be made into new products, that film gets tied over all of the conveyor belts. So it's a bad contamination. However, it is actually a recyclable material if you bring it to the recycling center and have it source separated. So contamination means that it's garbage in the mixed recycling. It doesn't mean that the item itself is garbage. Sometimes it is, like styrofoam is garbage. It's really tough to be recycled.
Or a garden hose.
Yeah,
like that's one
garbage.
of the main things we see in recycling is garden hoses.
Or food waste. A lot of food in the recycling. And so again, that's an item that has to be composted. It doesn't mean that it's garbage. It just is garbage for the mixed recycling.
I downloaded your app.
Oh, yay.
It was very easy. I had to
Good.
find a Lincoln City address, though. I think this is a great tool. Thank you for that. I'm curious, what are the common habits or, differences between visitors and our locals? What are common things you see that visitors need to be educated on?
I honestly think it's getting better, but just human nature is the first roll cart that you touch when you have a bag of garbage in your hand is the
Yeah.
roll cart that you're going to put it in. So if that happens to be the recycle roll cart, you've got your 2-year-old under this arm, sand buckets hanging, and the bag of trash from McDonald's or whatever. You're not going to be like, oops, that's the recycle roll cart. And, you're just in a different frame of mind when you're visiting, and you're usually, sadly enough, in a rush.
Yeah.
And so, I honestly, but like we were talking earlier, now that we have a statewide list and we've all been recycling for 20 plus years now or had it available to us. But, I just had one of our city councilors in Lincoln City be like, recycling is a no brainer now. And it's like, and that is becoming true there. It's kind of like smoking. Like when you see somebody that smokes these days, you're like, wow, you smoke? And, when I was a kid, everybody smoked. And now when you see somebody that doesn't recycle, you're like, you don't recycle? And so, it's just.
Maybe that's just us, though.
Well, no, it's a change in human nature. Like it's rare now that you go to somebody's home and they don't recycle. And
True.
When I do go to somebody's home and they don't recycle, I'm like, where's your recycling? And, they're embarrassed about it. And it's so. I think it is getting better, but I think the message to visitors is that this is our home. Please treat it like your home. And, whether it's litter or, on the beach or at, treat it like you would your own home.
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you. Just a couple more. Any thoughts about when, commercial compost we might really see it, as a permanent thing? Or
Probably. So I know it's coming in the long session this year for 2027. And so most likely if that gets passed, they usually have at least a 2-year kind of buffer between when something's passed and when it's implemented. I know that, probably 2029. If that does happen in 2020, let's say it's 2029 that the implementation starts, it will be anybody producing over 500 pounds of food waste. And then in 2030, it would be anybody producing over 1,000 pounds of food waste. And then in 2031, it would be, okay, now so they kind of have a step up or a sunset, if you will. At least that's what it was in the last bill. I know that as haulers and our association, we are open to commercial composting. It's just right now, there are not a lot of buyers for compost,
especially commercial compost because of the contamination levels.
And so I think that that's going to be the uphill battle. And I could see our association specifically pushing really hard with those that are pushing for commercial contamination or commercial compost to kind of move that to a later date until we see, because California, I think SB 54, that might be for the recycling. Anyways, one of their bills recently passed in the last couple years, and they are commercially composting, but they don't have enough markets, and they're the 4th largest GDP in the world. And so if they don't have enough markets for the finished compost, then what is Oregon supposed to do? So
in 2024, we were down in the Marin County area at one of their commercial composters, and they were actually hauling the finished compost to the landfill.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get rid of it. And so we don't want that in Oregon. That's a very expensive way to get stuff to the landfill.
Expensive.
And so, if I completely understand that most solid waste by volume, 30% of it is compostable, and dirt is a great commodity.
Yep.
But unless you have the end markets and DEQ, I'm going to throw them under the bus here a little bit. They are notorious for starting programs without having any markets, and it's gotten them in pretty big trouble in the past.
They did not do that with RMA. That was
RMA
a
has
big
been
they made sure
their
that
best one yet, but you know, with when they started electronics, they had no place for it to go, and they didn't regulate who could take it, and we had warehouses catch on fire, and you know, the fire department would show up and it was full of computer monitors, which are very toxic when they're burning. And so it has to be a whole system coming together, a full circle of end markets, end users. And quite honestly, I don't think that PRC has the capacity to deal with the entire state of doing commercial composting. So there's going to have to be another player that comes to the playground. And if we're going to do it. So it has an uphill battle, but I would presume in the next 4 to 5 years that we will be talking about implementing it here on the coast.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thanks for the explanation. Yeah, we need somewhere to put all the compost, right?
Yeah.
Instead of the landfill. So,
Yeah, we don't want to haul it to the landfill.
yeah. I promise probably the last question, but when we get paint from you, can we go get it colored?
Yes, you can. Actually, we have had Ace Hardware here in Lincoln City does it. It depends on who's at the paint desk, but I've never been denied. I've had some people push back and say we don't do that, and I just simply reply of yes, you do.
And Sherwin-Williams is reselling recycled paint in Lincoln City at least, and so they will color it as well. So Habitat for Humanity and Sherwin-Williams are the two resellers in Lincoln City. They no longer let us resell it at our location, but they will, both of them will recolor, which is great.
Well, Habitat doesn't have the capacity to do that, but if
sure.
you take it to
Sherwin-Williams or Ace,
yeah.
That is awesome.
I'm not sure about the rest of the county, but here in North County, that is our experience.
That'd be cool because paint is so expensive.
Well, and it's super reasonably priced,
and it's very nice paint. Our son used it on his entire interior of his
and
house.
We used it on our office.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, our office on Highway 101, that's recycled paint. And our recycling center.
Well, awesome. Thank you. Well, Tina, Lexi, Commissioner Chuck, I think the presentation was great today.
Yep.
You know, in the past, we bring this on discussion, we bring it back for action. I don't have any particular questions myself on the increase. I know it's within range. Commissioner Chuck, anything for you, or you want to dive into that at all? Or are you comfortable moving forward?
Commissioners, we usually let the opportunity for the public to comment, so we've always brought it back to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'll just say thank you for your presentation, Lexi and Tina, and it's great working with you, and look forward to continuing it. And thank you for the sometimes overlooked but very essential services that our haulers provide. Nobody realizes it until no one's there to pick up their garbage. So thank you for what you do, and for being a third generation family business. That's a big kudos to. So thank you for all you do.
You're welcome. Thank you. We love what we do, and we appreciate your time this morning.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yep. Thanks for your time. Okay, so we'll move this to action on our next meeting. Again, thanks to North Lincoln Sanitary for those watching. There are a lot of comprehensive documents and financials in the packet item. Okay, so we are still in discussion and information, and we are moving to bids for publication of the 2026 property tax foreclosure list. Council Brian Gardner, Assistant Council Brian Gardner, is with us today. Brian, are you there?
I am. Yeah, I don't see myself showing up on the video, but
oh, there you are.
Can you
saw
see
you
me?
flashing on and off.
Oh, there. Hi, so yes, Brian Gardner, Assistant County Counsel for Lincoln County. It's that time of year where we will be publishing the notice of foreclosures for properties that have tax foreclosures on them. And so why this is on today is because BOC is required to designate a newspaper in order to get the publication out. That's a requirement of ORS 312040, which requires that one publication for the foreclosure list in a newspaper of general circulation in the county be designated for that foreclosure list. And I think Ashley, our property tax deputy, had presented a packet for the BOC's review.
Is Ashley with us today? No.
So Mr. Gardner's presenting the item, but if the board wishes to have Ms. Land speak, I don't think she was planning on speaking.
Okay. Commissioner Chuck, any questions? I just have one, really. I'll let you take it right now.
Yeah, so I read the proposals. I don't have any questions for Ms. Land. And I would just acknowledge, Mr. Gardner did talk about the ORS, about what entails and what we need to do to post these. And I think in the last meeting or last time we did this, we went with the Lincoln County Leader and the Lincoln Chronicle to suffice that. I think the cost to putting the Chronicle on there is very negligible, and I think we need to make sure that we get these out to as many entities as possible and get this out to as many people that need to see this information.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
if I could just interrupt for a second. So we only designate one. So the Lincoln County Leader was the designated publication newspaper last year. Well, I don't know for how many years in a row, but we did do additional stuff such as having it put in the Lincoln Chronicle as well as on our website. We can do other things, but one gets designated by law. And just so you know, we don't have a set designation in Lincoln County of any specific publication. So we are limited at this time by ORS 193.010, and there's definitions of what a newspaper of general circulation is. So in that, newspaper means a newspaper of general circulation that meets all of the following criteria, and it lists off a whole lot of different criteria. But for purposes of the bids, one of those criteria that it has to meet is that the newspaper has bona fide subscribers representing more than half of the total distribution of printed newspapers and paid for digital newspapers. And it's so I believe the only two that provided bids that meet that requirement are the Oregonian and the Lincoln County Leader for the designation.
Okay. And forgive me here, counsel. We are still legally required to do that print, right? I mean, that's obvious. It's here, I think. But do you foresee that that'll continue on with things being so digital these days? Any outlook for that?
I don't know what you mean. That's allowed to be either digital. So if you looked at the bids, the Lincoln County Leader puts it on digital as well as in print. There is no requirement that it be in print. However, there is the requirement that it has bona fide subscribers representing 1/2 of the total distribution of printed newspapers and paid for digital newspapers. So if it's paid for digital newspapers, they still have to have half of their subscribers, at least half, be paid subscriptions. That's up to the Oregon State Legislature how they define that, and that's how they define it. I'm guessing they do that in order to make sure that they are legitimate subscriptions and not, just linked to different emails or bots or whatever. I'm guessing that's why they did that, but that is the requirement at this time. And so the third bid by the Lincoln Chronicle, it's my understanding anyways, that the Lincoln Chronicle is a not-for-profit, 501 corp. And that they don't charge, so they would not have paid subscriptions. They take donations, but that's my understanding of it. That's why I said that the only two of the bids that were solicited that comply with ORS 193.010 are those top two. There is an ability for the BOC at some time to designate a publication. And if they so designate, there'd be a hearing and you establish that even though they don't comply with necessarily with all the requirements, but because they're designated, they could be the publication. Different jurisdictions have done that already. I know the city of Salem, or the Salem Reporter is a designation, and it's a nonprofit. And some cities, some of our cities in Lincoln County have, but we have not.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Chuck, you might be a little bit more up to emotion looking at this than I am, or Council Gardner as well. What are your recommendations?
My recommendation, based on the cost and the amount of places it gets out to, is to designate the Lincoln County leader. That cost is $1,260 per full page, whereas the Oregonian is, as you can see, much more expensive. The bid for the Lincoln County leader also includes publication on the website, as well as the Oregon Press Association statewide legal advertising website. I think that a lot of people who look for these types of notices are going to look in one of those places if they are potentially interested in the foreclosure notice. Again, that doesn't limit where else we can do things, but my recommendation would be to designate the Lincoln County Leader as the newspaper of publication based on the information provided by Ms. Land.
Okay. Thank you for that, Council Gardner. Commissioner Chuck, that sounds reasonable to me. Would you like to entertain a motion or any discussion?
Yeah, I have a question for council or for Brian. Would it be appropriate to add on also publications, publishing the notice with Lincoln Chronicle, or would that have to be done separately?
Like I said, the law, the way it reads, says shall designate one.
Okay.
So it wouldn't be done as part of this. We do need to have one specific designation because that notice then is required to be sent to each of the property owners as well, and to the cities. Each of the cities gets a notice. We have to send them a certified, as well as the property owners, of the notice. And I'm guessing that's why one, because you don't want to have to be sending a whole bunch of repetitive stuff, or a whole bunch of different publications to each of the property owners and the cities. So this, like I said, we can provide notices in other places as well. We just have to have one that's designated because that's the one that gets tracked for, did we comply when we file affidavits with the court later? Did we comply with the correct designated newspaper? Did we do these things?
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you for the thorough explanation, Brian.
Yep.
So I will move that we accept bid number 2 with the Lincoln County Leader to publish on August 26th, 2026, our property or foreclosure publication bids, and for the amount of $1,260 per full page.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Chuck. I will second that motion. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. It passes. Thank you, Council Gardner, for those.
Thank you, and I'll get an order generated for you.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds great. Okay, let's take a look here at our agenda. We are on to our third of 4 discussion items. This is the vacancy 2 position. Commissioner Chuck, I definitely have some structure I've got today. How would you like to approach the vacancy? Any thoughts?
I think we need to finish the process we started, Commissioner Miller. I think Ms. Dawn and Ms. Baker have been waiting to get a decision from us, and I'm willing to listen to see what you have to add.
Okay, all right. I agree with you, Commissioner Chuck. Yeah, I've got some algorithms here, if you will. Got an opening statement. The public deserves a fully functioning 3-member board. We have now operated this vacancy for more than 6 months. I do want us to restore representation, select someone capable of contributing immediately, and avoid using the appointment power in a way that gives an advantage to any candidate in the ongoing November election. I'm going to offer several concrete options today. These options reflect the election results, the original application process, and a genuine effort to find common ground. So, Commissioner Chuck, I'm just going to move through a series of motions just to help us get clear, and so the community can benefit too of understanding where both you and I are at. My first choice remains Commissioner-elect Curtis Landers. He is the only person who's already been elected to serve on this board. He won position 3 and will take office in January. He is not competing in the November election. His appointment would restore full representation, provide continuity into next year, respect the voters' conclusive decision, and avoid giving any incumbency advantage to either position 2 candidates. All right, so I would move to appoint Commission-elect Landers to fill the vacant position 2 seat through December 31st, 2026. Do I have a second, Commissioner Chuck?
You do not.
Okay, all right. All right. Moving forward, I will offer a candidate from the original application and interview process. Marcy Baker applied for this appointment, was selected as a finalist, and participated in the full interview process. She is an elected Lincoln County councilor, has experience making public decisions, and is no longer a candidate in the November commissioner election. Her appointment would honor the original process while preserving neutrality in the November election. I move to appoint city councilor and applicant finalist Marcy Baker to fill the vacant position 2 seat through December 31st, 2026. Any discussion or a second?
None.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Chuck. All right. I propose another motion. Drew Earls applied for the vacancy and was one of Commissioner Chuck's 5 original selections from the applicant pool. I am offering Mr. Earls as a compromise. He participated in the process. As you identified him as qualified for further consideration, and he is not a candidate in the November election. I move to appoint vacancy applicant Drew Earls to fill the vacant 2 seat through December 31st, 2026. Any discussion or a second, Commissioner Chuck?
No. None.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Commissioner Chuck. Okay, I'm going to offer one additional person the voters expressed preference for in the May primary. Sherry Brubaker received the most votes of any commissioner candidate who did not advance to the November election. She received 3,381 votes countywide. She has demonstrated public support. While her appointment would not provide an advantage to anyone currently competing in November, I suggest that she's another reasonable compromise that considers voter input while preserving election neutrality. I move to appoint Sherry Baker to fill the vacant position 2 seat through December 31st, 2026. Any discussion or a second on that?
None.
Okay. All right. Well, okay. I think what we need to do is keep the momentum, Commissioner Chuck. And for that, I will propose another motion. Unless you have any other discussion, I've got a final motion to make.
No, I have some things, but you go ahead and then I'll finish up.
Okay. I move that the board hold a special meeting on Wednesday, July 22nd at 10 a.m. or another time within the next 7 days that works for you for the sole purpose of continuing discussion for filling the position 2 vacancy.
Isn't that what the purpose of having this on the agenda today is? I don't think we need a special meeting for it.
Okay.
So no, I will not be seconding that motion.
Okay, no second for designated meeting to keep this going.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
So my turn. So I will just say that we had a defined process. We have not finished that. At the last meeting in May, you and I both agreed to an impasse, and so that seemed like what we have. As far as the other motions you made, part of the process, the election results, or whoever was in the election or was not in the election, was not part of the process. I don't think that's. I think it's moving the goalpost to now bring that into discussion. But since you did, if we are gonna go off solely on what the election has to say, Ms. Dawn is the preferred candidate by the people. And I just would like you to state for the record why you don't think she's qualified to fill the position, other than you think it will be a perceived advantage in the upcoming election.
I like Kristen Dawn a lot. I actually met with her, had a great conversation. But I will be not moving her forward, Commissioner Chuck. So let the record reflect that I offered 4 individuals for appointment and specific opportunity to reconvene within the next 7 days to continue working towards an appointment. I remain ready to meet at any time and appoint a qualified person who will restore full representation without placing the board's appointment power on either side of the November election. And that concludes my comments and discussion, Commissioner Chuck.
Okay. My last comment will be that I will state for the record that the first time I've basically spoken with Kristen Dawn once since this process, since the election ended, and that was yesterday at an event. I saw Miss Baker at a meeting. We did not discuss the election, and I did not want to taint the process by having separate discussions with these candidates and having other interviews outside of open public meetings. And so that's been my take on it. Going forward, I just will say that I feel that Ms. Dawn is the most correct candidate to fill this position. And we need to finish the process that you and I both agreed on.
Okay. All right. Thank you for your final comments.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move to our next category in discussion. Those are agenda topics. Anything for you, Commissioner Chuck?
Other than I brought up the funds that we did not approve today, that was, I suggested we have that on the agenda our last meeting. We did not have it on this one. Looks like we are going to have it in August 5th. So we'll be talking about it then. But other than that, I have no agenda topics to discuss.
Okay. Commissioner Chuck, I do, and just to provide some context, we received, I think it was on maybe the 9th, communication from Chief Mathia, and this is in regard to the ASA assignment. So, I requested that the item be on the agenda. I believe it was briefly on the agenda. Our agenda packet has changed 3 times since the draft agenda was published, and notified to the community. So what I want to do is establish, Council Yule, I believe you emailed me. We've had it on, we pulled it off. I'm going to suggest a motion, Commissioner Chuck, but Council Yule, let's just understand where are we at in your mind? I know you've been working with, South Lincoln Ambulance. Any ideas about why we pulled it from the agenda?
Thank you, commissioners. So South Lincoln Ambulance currently has the ASA 5 assigned to them. I was contacted with an update yesterday. They are going to continue service for the ASA, and they will let me know after July 28th. Their agency is in negotiations with Yahut's Rural Fire District. They'll have an update after the 28th. So my recommendation is that we schedule a special meeting for July 30th. And I will know by then if it's necessary to do a transfer. Right now, there is nothing for the board to act on.
Council Yule, take a look at the calendar here. Why so late in the month?
Because they're having negotiations that are going to last until the 28th, and that was the date they provided me.
Okay. All right. Well, they're not going to be able to provide any feedback until the 28th. Is that correct?
It could be sooner, but that was the date they provided, at least until they anticipate by the 28th they would have an update.
Okay. Council Yule, do you think you can at least provide a memorandum prior to that? Maybe we can kind of expedite this so we're not pushing it so close to the end of that contract period.
So there is no contract period. The contract actually for ASA 5 lasts. It's assigned until June 30th of 2027. So right now, the current ASA holder has told me that they're going to provide the service. And so there is nothing for the board to act on until I have noticed that that's no longer the case.
Thank you, Council Yule. Commissioner Chuck, I would move that the board direct County Council by Friday, June 17th at noon to provide a written public status memorandum concerning ASA number 5. And for context, the memorandum should include a chronology of all communications and agenda decisions since July 6. South Lincoln Ambulance's written statement of its ability and intention to provide service after July 21st. Proposed staffing, ambulance station, dispatch, medical direction, insurance, and mutual aid arrangements, and any formal notice of discontinuance or transfer, an explanation of applicable county code and ASA procedures. Again, Council, that's a memorandum by Friday.
So commissioners, I don't have any action items for you to act on until I get an update from South Lincoln, which they have indicated is not going to be provided until after July 28th. So I don't have anything to update. They are currently assigned to that ASA 5. That's by board order. So I've also not been included, I think, on email correspondence that you've received. So I would not even be able to, I'm not sure what I'm drafting until I actually have an update if they're not able to provide service or not.
Okay. Council Yule.
Commissioner Chuck, would you like to weigh in?
Yeah, honestly, Commissioner Miller, this is an ongoing negotiation, and as you know, during negotiations, things change, and there's nothing for us to act on. If you wish to have updates, I'm sure you can reach out to Chief Mathia or someone down there, and they can give you an update. But as far as my consideration on this, I would like to hear what the final product is. And we can do that at a meeting on the 30th. They will have results of their negotiations by then for us. I'm not privy to those. I don't think Council Yule or you are privy to those discussions, and I think we should just make a decision on what they come out with. So that's my desire.
Okay. Well, Commissioner Chuck, to be clear, Council Yule, I move that the board direct County Council by noon Friday, July 17th, to provide a written memo of an update of anything we might be privy to. And I can provide details for anything possible in writing in regards to ASA number 5. Do you second that motion?
I do not second the motion to direct staff.
Very good. All right. Well, the motion does not pass. Thank you. We have no reports from staff or partners, but we do have a report from Commissioner Chuck. Go ahead, Commissioner Chuck.
I will forego my report. I will add it on to the next meeting. I did not have a chance to fully compile it, and I do not wish to set a precedent, so I will compile it and enter it in for the next meeting. So,
all right. Thank you, Commissioner Chuck. Then I have no report today. Moves us to public comments. PIO Lip, do we want to see if we have anyone scheduled or signed up for public comment?
We have a single person who signed up for public comment, Mr. Smith from the Lincoln Chronicle, but I believe that was just contingent on what happened during the discussion of the foreclosure publications, and I don't think he'll want to offer comment.
Okay, very good. And what about written comment? Mr. Lip?
We did not receive any written comment.
Okay. All right. All right. Thank you, PIO Lip. No executive session is scheduled. And unless there's anything else, Commissioner Chuck, anything else before we conclude today's meeting?
Commissioners, I just want to confirm, are we going to have a meeting on July 30th, tentatively?
yes, if need be, it would be my desire to have that if we have something to act on regarding ASA 5.
Okay.
All right. Very good. And then as far as scheduled meetings are concerned, as they appear on the agenda, it would be Wednesday, August 5th. Thank you, everyone, for your time today. And with that, we are adjourned. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good day.